And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I'm so excited to welcome tonight, live from the great state of Texas, Leanne Kale Sparks, here to give us the inside scoop on her brand new book, Every Missing Girl. Leanne, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
Thanks. So this is the second book in a series. The first book is The Wrong Woman, and it really centers around two characters, my FBI agent, Kendall Beck, and her unofficial sidekick, Denver homicide detective, Adam Taylor. And in this book, it's more about Adam's side of the family. In The Wrong Woman, it was Kendall's friend that went missing. This time it is Adam's niece. And so there's a little bit of a shift there. But basically, Kendall works in the FBI in the Crimes Against Children unit, and she is on the hunt trying to find Adam's missing niece. And there's a lot of questions about whether she's actually missing. Was she a runaway? Is there something going on at home? So lots of twists and turns.
Excellent. Well, I can't wait to get into every single detail of it, which we are about to. But first, I just want to welcome everyone who is joining us live from Facebook and YouTube. We're going live to 6 different destinations. If you've been here before, you know the drill. And if you're new, welcome. We're so happy to have you. Here's the drill. Every Monday for hashtag Mystery Monday, I give you my handpicked featured authors, and you get to ask them anything. So ask Leanne about this series, writing her detective, writing her FBI partner in crime, pun intended. Ask her about what her writing process is like and her research process is like. Any questions that you have, get them going in the comments. I will get them right over to her. Because y'all, Leanne is herself a former recovering lawyer, coming into the thriller world. So Leanne, tell us about that, first of all.
I went to law school, and because I was married to the Navy and we moved around a lot, I got tired of taking bar exams. But while I was in law, I did work as a criminal defense attorney. So I'm kind of writing about the other side of things now. But I did love working on in law, but it was just getting too tedious for me to constantly have to change and get licensed in new states. So I kind of went to my husband one day and said, so I think I'd rather write for a while. And he's like, okay, whatever. So I lucked out. But I always do harken back to my roots in law to just about anything in writing. So it's a good base for me.
Yeah, because I bet that informs a lot of, your knowledge around having worked in the field of criminal defense that involves, your knowledge of crime.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I hit on, I worked with a lot of law enforcement types on, both sides, and definitely got to know a lot of criminals and maybe not so criminal, but mostly criminals. So I kind of got into that little mindset a little bit, but and just being in that whole environment and understanding the laws and things, I think it helps me to kind of know where I can fudge things a little bit too, because believe it or not, actual crime and trials are really boring and can be somewhat tedious. So I think that helps me a little bit to be able to write efficiently and still be true to what the laws are, or what the investigation is, but know where I can fudge it a little bit.
Ooh, so were you ever sitting there in court thinking, I know how I would have done this differently?
Yeah. Well, I did actually have one guy who called me from jail on a Monday morning, and he had been arrested over the weekend for robbing the same 7-Eleven that I had just got him released from jail on Friday. And I'm like, he's like, you got to get me out. And I'm like, I can't. You were out and you didn't stay and you got arrested. And he's like, well, I had to pay rent. And I'm like, there's this thing called a job. Robbing 7-Elevens is not a job. So so yeah, there's a lot of it's an interesting field. So
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Well, I want to get to some of these comments
okay.
coming in. We have a mystery user saying, I definitely want to read your book now that I know how informed your perspective is. And I just want to say, I totally resonate with that. Like, I love mysteries and thrillers. Obviously, that's why we're all here. But when I know that the author has real world experience, real world knowledge and a foot in the door of that world, it just makes the book that much more interesting and authentic. So I am totally vibing with that comment. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. And we have, let me see. Ooh, we have someone saying hello from Florida. This book is next on my TBR, my
Yay!
to be read list. You're going to enjoy it. I have a feeling. Megan, welcome to the conversation. Joining us from YouTube, asking, what are some of your favorite things or comforts to have while you are writing? Yeah, Leanne, tell us about that.
Well, I like to either have coffee or tea close by. I start the day with coffee and end the day with tea, and then transition into wine. But I think mostly for snacks and stuff while I'm writing, it depends on the book. I seem to drift from one thing I like one time, and then I get tired of that. And the next book I'm writing, it's something else. Um, Usually it's something chocolate though, you have to keep that. I have a nice big office, so that helps. I've got this like beanbag chair that I sit in sometimes when I just need a little bit of a perspective change. That is when I can get my corgi out of it. He's also another comfort thing that he comes upstairs into my office every once in a while just to check on me during the day. So that's nice. And then I have a German Shepherd too, but she's not really so much nice in my office. She likes to tear things up, so she has to stay out every once in a while. But mostly that's it. I mean, I do love having a computer, but I do actually handwrite a lot of my. I'm a super uber plotter, so I handwrite a lot of my notes and my outlines, and I have whiteboards usually all over the place that I'm scribbling on too. So I have a lot
Ooh.
of things.
Okay, so when you have that big comfy beanbag chair, which I am already wishing I had, so the way I'm curious, I'm interested when you said that you change your seat when you need a literal change of perspective. So tell us about that. Or is it when you get stuck and you just can't find your way through a scene? Is it like when are you switching? When are you you just need to move around a little? What do you mean?
Yeah, it really is just that simple. When I'm stuck and I'm like, I just don't know where to go from here. And so it's like, okay, I just can't sit in this chair anymore, because if I do, I'm gonna get on Facebook and scroll, or Instagram and scroll, and then it's gonna be 4 o'clock in the afternoon and I'm not gonna have any words written. So sometimes it helps if I get up and I move to the seat, just because it's on the other side of the room, and so I can see out the windows and stuff. And you're closer to the floor in that, and so it's just kind of a different kind of, once you sink into it, you're not getting out of it for a little while. So it's a really comfortable seat. And so sometimes it's not so much helping me with the actual writing, because I find it really hard to type while I'm sitting there, but it helps get the juices flowing a little bit, and helps me figure out where maybe something's going, or do I need to have a dead body here, or something along those lines, just to get the story moving again. I've been known to go downstairs and sit at the kitchen table when I get really stuck, which is difficult because my husband works from home also, and he's always on the phone, so that doesn't happen very often anymore. But yeah, it's just I just need that shift sometimes. And of course, there's always the magic shower, where if you get really stuck, you go into the magic shower and the heat or something. I don't know. It just all works, and you
Wow.
can, yeah, you just come up with some really great ideas.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay. We've got a magic shower, a big comfy beanbag. I mean, this just keeps getting better. We have a mystery friend joining us saying, such a great book. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us
you.
for the conversation. Someone else saying, Kendall Beck, Leanne's star is a badass. Uh, I'm here for the
Thank you.
badass women. Courtney would like to know, what was your favorite part of writing Every Missing Girl?
I think it was probably when I got about 3/4 of the way through and decided that I didn't like which way it was going, and kind of backed up. And then started writing it from a little bit different angle. And then all of these characters started popping out, including the big twist at the end. That wasn't that was something that I wasn't really sure I was going to do, and then it kind of just all fit together, and it's almost like that's how the book has to end. So that was probably my favorite part. Just finally, just instead of trying to direct the story, was just kind of let the characters take over and let the story take over, and then it was a blast. Then it was a lot of fun to write.
Ooh, interesting. But yet you describe yourself as a vigorous outliner. So how does that, so you vigorously outlined, but then three-quarters of the way through felt that you took the beanbag chair, realized it wasn't working, and then backed up and and redid it.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
I would probably say my writing style is somewhat chaotic because I don't think that it ever comes out the same way twice. I am an Uber plotter. It helps me to know that I'm going somewhere so that when I do get stuck, I'm like, okay, well, this is the next step. This is where I'm going next. But I'm always open to the story kind of taking over. And I think I felt like I was really forcing the story to go in a certain way, and it just wasn't working, and it wasn't working. So I finally just kind of scrapped a bit of it and backed up and said, okay, where am I going wrong with this? And then once I just kind of let that go, then everything just kind of fell into place, and it was a lot of fun to write.
Very cool. Courtney, thank you for the great question. Leanne, thank you for the great answer. Ooh, Ava would like to know, what is your writing process? Do you outline your books? Okay, so let's talk a little more about this. So you sit down
Okay.
at your desk, you start your day with coffee, you finish with tea, then you segue into wine. You're a vigorous outliner on the whiteboards. How long do you spend outlining both in during the day? Like, are you there? Are you a Dean Koontz? Your butt's in the seat at 7 a.m. and you don't get up until 5 p.m.? Or how long do you spend outlining? Walk us through, what a little more about this.
So I do a lot of outlining. A lot of my writing process is heavy on outlining first before I even, sometimes I'll get like a first chapter in because it's like ruminating in there. And so I'll get it out. Whether it stays or not is another issue, or, I'm not sure if it is going to stay in or not, but I get it out, and that kind of helps everything fall into place. Um, and it seems to set a little the stage for the rest of the book, hopefully. Um, but I do really, really heavy outlining to begin with, and I think it through, and I think where I need to have, certain clues come up, where red herrings need to be. I kind of map it out. So it takes that's probably the biggest chunk of the whole writing process, is doing the outlining. But like I said, sometimes it goes awry while I'm writing, but it basically follows kind of the same pattern. If new storylines come in, then that's cool. But they're usually mostly just to throw everybody off. So there's extra red herrings in there, or I usually like to have like two major investigations going on that kind of weave together, so that you have to figure out where those are going to intercede, and you also have to make sure that they're actually investigating the other investigation. They're following that, and it's not just kind of lost in the background somewhere of, yeah, they were investigating this, and then all of a sudden at the end it pops up and they're like, oh, here it is, this one's solved. So you kind of have to figure out how to weave that through. So that helps me with the outlining. And then once I get the outline done, like I said, then I start to write, and then, things either go really well. Well, every time it goes really well. It's just whether it goes by my plan or not. Usually not, but it's usually kind of a fun ride when you can let your characters just take over and let the the story take over, and see where it goes.
Ooh, ooh. Well, thank you for the great question, Ava and Leanne. Thank you for the great answer. Y'all, the book is out now, and you can order it from our favorite woman-owned independent bookstore. That is, of course, Murder by the Book. So here is the link, no matter where you're watching from. Click and order now, and you too can sink your hooks into every missing girl and immerse yourself in the world that Leanne has created, of two major investigations going on, plenty of of plot hooks, plenty of red herrings, plenty of clues along the way. Get yourself into the story. Here it is. While you're ordering, I want to get back to some of these questions. Ooh, good one here. Can you tell us about how Colorado factors into your books and why? Yeah, you're a Colorado native. You love the
I
land.
do.
Tell us about that.
So I am originally from Colorado. I was born and raised in Colorado Springs, which is just south of Denver. So it's really it's my one way of being able to kind of get back to the state, mostly, through my writing. And also, I do take advantage of going back and doing some research there, and going on mini book tours there when the books do come out. So that is a lot of fun. It's just a great place. I mean, I haven't really so far in the series, I haven't really taken advantage of the multitude of places that you can hide a body in the mountains. It's mostly been everything's taken place down in Denver, but it's such a great state. There's so much that you can add into it. The fact that the weather alone, you could write books about, because you get all 4 seasons in one day, and it's not even a joke. I mean, it can be a blizzard in the morning, and by the afternoon you're in shorts and flip-flops. So yeah, it's really great. It's a great state. And it's beautiful. I mean, you get to write about how beautiful the mountains are, and just all the colors and everything that come in. So I love being able to show off my home state in my writing. And again, it allows me to kind of get back there and touch base with Colorado, because I was married to the military for so many years, and I have been gone since about 1992. So I haven't been back living there for a long time. I've been all over the United States. So it's kind of nice to be able to get back home to Colorado and see it, and bring that into my writing a little bit more.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, y'all, let's get into some of the praise that this book has earned. So let's kick off with Kirkus. And I'm going to pop this up on the screen so that we can all take a peek together. And they said that they praised Leanne's ability to render character, saying, quote, "The character's amiability and competence makes the final act strong." Now, Leanne, you just revealed that the final act was actually a surprise to you. The
Yeah.
twist at the end was a surprise to you. And yet, sorry, the final act sting, not strong. I misread that. So tell us about this stinging last act, which we just learned was a surprise to yourself, but yet Kirkus loved.
It was fun. So the story centers around the young girl that is missing. And again, that's what Kendall does for a living, is try and find these missing children, whether they're being sex trafficked or whatever. It's all these crimes that are being committed against children, which usually is a missing child. So it's in that vein. It's very hard to not bring up the what's happening to children, and I try really hard. I never do anything graphic. There's that there's bad things that happen to children. It's never spoken of in specifics or anything. It's just but it's there, and it's kind of a sad reality that it is there, and that this does happen. But yeah, I mean, I wanted there to be a little bit of a reality check at the end. So I think that's what really hit me, was that there's the title is about every missing girl. So there's more than one girl that ends up being missing, and so it's kind of it stings at the end. There's a big twist at the end that I really didn't see coming. But once I wrote it, even my editor was like, "Ooh, I was really almost close to telling you to rewrite that and not do this." And I think that it really does make the story better, and it is really it's fun. When when you get into writing, and it's going that way, and that ending, it's perfect. I think it's just perfect. So
It's interesting because this book made me want to do my own bit of research about missing girls, and so I found that according to NAM US with database, there are 600,000 people declared missing every year in the United States. Now, alongside that statistic, 4,400 unidentified bodies are discovered every year, which means that only 0.7333% of people who go missing are found and unable to be identified. Now, also alongside that statistic, 78% of the victims who are abducted into human trafficking are, and this is no surprise, women and girls. And I think it's a shock to a lot of people that missing women and girls is actually an issue here in the US. I think people think of it as something that happens somewhere else, over there, wherever
Right.
there is, but it actually is a problem here in the United States.
A big problem. And I was fortunate enough that I had some contacts in the FBI, specifically in this unit, which is again why I really wanted to bring it to the forefront, because what they're doing, it's amazing the different areas of life that these girls come from.
Mm.
And they can get into this life through many different avenues. They're either, they meet a guy and this guy is very complimentary to them. They know how to seek out the girls that are maybe don't have a lot of self-confidence, and so then that's how they slowly get them into this lifestyle. Or there's just simply the get them off the street, abduct them, and take them and move them around, because it's not safe to keep them in the same place. So, which is why the FBI is involved in this, because most of the time it becomes an interstate type of issue, because they're taking them across state lines, which then becomes a federal offense. So they get them and they move them around. The thing I think that was the most surprising to me was, I mean, you see these big stings that happen with the FBI and child trafficking or sex trafficking, but I didn't realize that a lot of times they take place at like the Super Bowl. There's a huge part of this where big events
Wow.
like big concerts and sporting events and things like that, anywhere lots of people gather, these, the sex traffickers, they'll go there with their kids that they're selling just for that, for the people that get into that. And it's just like, what? I had no idea. So it's been really eye opening. Like I said, I was really lucky to be able to talk to agents and things in the FBI about this, and and see what they have to go through. And that's part of the reason that I really wanted Kendall to be in that unit, because I wanted to shine a light on it and on the situation. But that's also kind of the reason I wanted it to be in Denver, because Denver has two major interstates that go through it. So
Mm.
that's a lot of it. I mean, interstate traffic is a lot. When you're trying to get kids out of states quickly, you got to be on the interstates. You got to be able to move fast. And so that's why I chose that, because there are the two major intersecting interstates. So
Fascinating stuff. Courtney would like to know a little bit more about your research, and I would too. So tell us, did you just call the FBI mainline and ask to talk to someone? I mean, how did you do this research?
it
And
was, I lucked out big time.
yeah,
When I was living in Maryland, we had a family friend who used to be in the FBI, and was high enough in the FBI that he oversaw the this crimes against children unit before it was known as that. It's gone through several iterations over the years, and so he was able to kind of. I was able to name drop a little bit and get in and meet up with some agents that were in it and ask them questions. And they I got to tour a couple of the places and see what exactly that they do and how they do it. It's incredibly incredibly sad to even, I mean, you leave there and you're like, I can't believe that this is happening to children. And the sad part about it is that a lot of times they do rescue these girls, but they don't know any better. They're embarrassed to go home. Their lives have just changed. They're not the same person they were before, and they feel like they're not as worthy. And so they go back to this life willingly because that's what they know. And sadly, they're also, most of them are hooked on drugs because that's how they get them to stay. Or they owe them, because they get them hooked on drugs. And then if you want more drugs, you have to go and do this. So it was interesting. I do a lot of research, basic online, and Google searches. I have a lot of author friends that write in this genre, so we kind of all compare notes every once in a while. I go to Writers Police Academy, which is a wonderful thing if you want to learn, have some hands-on experience and be able to talk to law enforcement about things, or be able to, learn how they do certain things and have a lot of hands-on experience there. And then I got this wonderful, huge, thick book. It's back behind me, but it's all about murder investigations and complete with crime scene photos and stuff, which is, it's kind of, when I'm researching a book or I'm writing a book, it's never really, it doesn't really bother me that much for some reason to look at these. If I'm watching a TV show, yeah, there are times that I'm watching through my fingers because I don't want to see and stuff. But when you're writing, I think it's you're in a whole different kind of mindset. So there's a lot that goes into it. But like I said, every once in a while, you just have to write the book and then hope that the stuff that you either got wrong or that you fudged on, is okay because it helps the story.
So you don't find it hard and then I want to answer the second part of Courtney's question. So you don't find it hard to read about these crimes, but you do find it hard to watch them on TV.
If I'm watching like a television show where, and I'm just viewing it, I'm not looking at it for research or anything. Yeah. I mean, I really get into the stories and I really kind of, it's disturbing, and sometimes I can't watch it. I'm very like, I get upset and stuff. But when I'm writing, I think that I know that it's not real. What I'm writing is not real, and I'm solely writing for how this is going to engage the reader and how much the reader is going to want to keep turning the page, and where that line is that you don't cross between being an okay thing and being too far and you've lost them and it's just, that's not acceptable. So I think that that's always in the center. And I mean, there's always that aha moment of, oh, this is really, really good. They're going to love this, and so it's different. I know that these are my characters. I know that this didn't really happen and that I'm solely doing this for entertainment so that readers can be entertained by it.
But another side of it is that you are raising awareness about a very real issue that is, a problem here and everywhere.
Yeah.
So that allows you to protect yourself mentally, which is great because otherwise this could really break your heart or keep you awake at night. But at the same time, it is raising awareness and people who maybe, who don't know are learning about this through, through the pages of your fictional book, but learning also about real problems.
It really does touch you, especially for me, because I have 3 girls. So even though they're adults now, I think sometimes I worry about them more now because they're not here with me for me to hold on to them and stuff. So you have to let them go and they have to go and make their own mistakes and make their own decisions. But it's hard to even imagine that could happen to one of your children. So again, that's why that it's good that I can detach that when I'm writing, or else I wouldn't be writing this.
Yeah, exactly. And I think some people are surprised, like I was doing a book reading at a book club here in Boston, and there was a woman who worked at the Boston Police Department who actually did grant writing. And she shared that actually Boston is a hub for trafficking, which I had no idea. And actually the internet has made that way worse because where you used to see it, now it's all on the dark web or Craigslist or, Facebook or whatever. And it's like, I mean, stuff you just don't even think of.
Yeah.
And I also,
that is the scary part, is that it's stuff that you could never even fathom that they're doing. And it's like, wow,
Yeah,
that's diabolical.
it's
That's
diabolical.
horrible.
Yeah. And I think we would, we would be remiss if we didn't acknowledge that this is a heart-wrenching problem that does also inordinately affect Black and Indigenous women. In fact,
Mhm.
according to data from the 2019 US Census, people who are Black or African American, while they only make up 13.4% of the United States population, nearly 40% of missing persons are people of color, which is hugely out of line for the minority percentage that they are. So if you're only
Yeah.
13% of the US population, but 40% of missing people are your people, we have a real problem here. And
Yeah.
Indigenous women are also 10 times more likely to go missing or murdered or be victims of violence than white women. So we also have to acknowledge that, this is a problem for all women, but this is a problem, especially disproportionately and heartbreakingly affecting Black and Indigenous women. And we have to honor that truth as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting to see where that disconnect kind of is and stuff, because you can't fix a problem if you don't know how it's occurring or why it's occurring. So
Yes.
but it is hard, that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It is it, it's bad when anybody goes missing. It's horrible when they're found dead. It's even worse if it's somebody that loved them or claimed to love them that killed them. Um, so but to that many it is really sad. And
We have
I
to use
mean,
our voices and our awareness to rally for
yeah,
change.
definitely, definitely.
Leanne would like to know, oh my gosh, we have a Leanne and a Leanne.
Yay.
Yay! Leanne would like to know, what is your favorite thing about Kendall Beck and who inspired this character? Great questions, Leanne.
My favorite thing about Kendall Beck is probably her sarcasm. She's she's got
Saucy. She's
she's
a
got a bit.
saucy minx. She's
She
funny.
really is, she is. And I really wanted to capture that because it is such a dark subject, and so you can't really have that dark of a subject because people are gonna get done with the book and go, "I think I'm just gonna go and, throw myself off the bridge. This is so depressing." So you have to, and I think it's at least my experience with law enforcement and working in the public defender's office and things like that. They do have these release valves, and so they do kind of, it's slightly inappropriate humor. It's and they're very sarcastic, and they have this banter back and forth, and I think that that's what I love most about these two characters and these books is it is the characters. They just seem to meld really well together. Kendall is such a smart ass. And and Adam takes it and gives it right back, but he's more the puppy dog in their friendship than she is. Um, who inspired this character? I don't know. I mean, it's just kind of one of those things where you start writing and and you get to know the character a little bit more and a little bit more, and then more things come out and you're like, oh, okay, so maybe she's like this and maybe she's like that. So I think she's probably um she's not one person. She's not inspired by one person. Um my kids would say that she's sarcastic like me, so she's inspired by me, but that's not true. I wish I was as cool as her. But yeah, so yeah, I think that I really I the thing I like most about them is how they all just interact together, and I try to make it as fun with the dark subject as you can get without going over making it a comedy.
So an example, Leanne, would be the book opens with the Kendall arriving on the scene of a shooting in a convenience store, and she's hungry and she can't help but wonder where the blood splattered bags of donuts are going to go, because are they going to go to evidence where maybe people who who work at the police station could have them, once they decontaminate them. And I think for me that was the tone that set the tone for this whole book. And it was also representative of how this character uses humor and as a way to shield herself, but also get through the scene and not let this work break her. And it's also sets the tone for the book. Like, you're gonna have you're at a crime scene, someone has died, there's a puddle of blood right there on the floor, but she's this sarcastic, sassy, feisty character, and so you're gonna have like a fun ride in this book.
Yeah, I love that opening, just because I think it does show that, you know, she does have a personality. She's not let this job get the best of her, which I imagine is difficult in that, especially working with children and seeing what horrible things people can do to children. Um, but she's also it also shows that she's been to these things so many times that sometimes she's not fully engaged as soon as she gets there, and she's, you know, just wondering, oh, you know, I wonder what happens to that. They should just send all that stuff back to the police station because they would love that. And then she gets off track thinking about donuts, and she's like, God, I really want a donut, you know. And so I think that this is kind of along those lines of maybe how things work and how you can disconnect yourself so that you don't go down into that pit of life is horrible, people are horrible, and you know, and that kind of thing. Just keep your humanity by almost not,
Yeah.
you know, stepping outside of where other people would be like, oh my God, this is disgusting, and things like that. So
Well, Leanne, thank you for the great question. And Leanne, thank you for the great answer. Y'all, the book is out. So grab your copy tonight. Here is that link, no matter where you're watching from, Facebook or YouTube, click and order tonight so that you too can immerse yourself in the world of this sassy, fabulous, fierce female detective and her FBI unwilling partner in crime. So that you can strap in for the ride. Y'all, we are out of time. We're actually over time, but time flies when you're having so much fun. Leanne, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you all for joining us to get the inside scoop on every missing girl. There will be a book giveaway, so be sure to join the Mavens to continue the conversation and be entered to win. So here is that link, free and open to all. Y'all, this has been a pleasure. I'll be back at the top of the hour with Veronica Henry. So go get yourself a drink, stay tuned, and I will see you then. Leanne, thank you so much for coming on. What a pleasure to host you and get all of this fascinating glimpse into your research and your backstory and learn a little more about your process and your characters. Thank you for joining us.
thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Yay. Oh, thank you. Courtney saying she loves it too. Yay. All right, y'all. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.